Jim Craig here. Welcome to Coffee and Astronomy. I'm going to switch things up a little bit today. I was going to talk about different kinds of telescopes and chromatic aberration. I will get to that eventually. But I had a situation arise Saturday evening that really drove home a point to me. I spent 5 hours outside setting up my scope, working with the software and everything. And I spent the whole evening fighting my equipment because I did something wrong. I don't, to this day, I don't know what I did wrong. I've been thinking about it and thinking about it. And I'm thinking that at some point I left out a step in my setup. It could have been something in hardware, could have been something in software, could have been something as simple as balance. But it drove home the importance of documentation. And that is the documentation that comes with your telescope, the manuals, the documentation that you get with your software or that's available for your software, but something else that's really important, and that is writing things down. When you go out and observe, you should have an observing notebook. I've got, a couple different ones, got one here that I use. This one's mostly for production, but I've got another one that's out in my workshop that I use for when I do observing. And it can be, just one of these little tiny composition books. And it can have lots of stuff in it. This one, I have the combination to the security or the alarm system at the observatory I go to. And then after I finished up and had had such a bad night the next day, I sat down and I wrote down the complete procedure from setting up the tripod all the way down to getting ready to do imaging. So when I go out again, I can go down this checklist and I can make sure that I don't miss anything. So I've documented what I need to do in order to set up my telescope. Now I'm looking at this and I can see that the first 6 will go away when I have my observatory set up. There's a couple other, let's see. Yeah, there's quite a few here that will just go away when I set up an observatory. But I'm not there yet. That's something that's in the future. But make sure to write things down. If you're taking pictures, write down the time you started. Write down the number of frames you took of each object. Document all of that sort of thing. So when you go back, you don't have to go, now what did I do? That way, you don't make the same mistake over and over again. You can say, oh, well, this time I tried this and it didn't work. So let me try it a different way or do something different, or don't do that particular thing again. And if you have something that works, you can repeat it. Oh, here's the setting I use for the camera to get the color balance right. Here's how I set up to do polar alignment and got it just right. All of those sorts of things. You need to write that down. You need to document it. It goes with what I heard when I did my military service, what they call the 5 Ps. Prior planning prevents poor performance. And it really does make a difference. I know it's all cliche. It's like another cliche, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I failed to plan on Saturday night, and I spent 5 hours and had nothing to show for it. If I were to do sort of a balances of this worked and this didn't work is a whole lot heavier. My polar alignment was spot on. Absolutely. My GPS module that I use with the computer had the time and date nailed down just right. That's the focus on my guide scope, spot on. The focus on my main scope was spot on. I have absolutely no images to show for that night, despite 5 hours of attempts. I went out at about 7 o'clock to start setting things up. It got dark enough to do my polar alignment at about 8:30, and I was out until 1 o'clock, and I finally just gave up, put everything away, and the next day I was, tired and sore like I normally am, but I had nothing to show for that. One thing about the next day, even if you feel terrible, if you've got great pictures or even pretty good pictures that you can show for it, at least it's worth the effort you put in. So I spent a night of wasted effort. Now, I'm going to go out here again in a night or two. I've got some clear weather coming up. I'm going to use that checklist and see if maybe that makes a bit of difference. So definitely write it down. Adam Savage said the difference between science and messing around. Science, you write stuff down. If you like these videos, click subscribe down below or give me a thumbs up and leave some feedback. I'd like to hear from you. And if you really like the videos, consider becoming a patron. For as little as $1 a month. You can get exclusive access to materials that I produce only for my patrons. Get exclusive access where you can ask me questions and I will respond directly to you. Different tiers of membership have different advantages. I also do giveaways from time to time, and like if you are at the $1 level, you get 1 entry. If you're at the $5 level, you get 5 entries. So that increases your chance of winning. Sometimes they are physical drawings, sometimes it's wallpapers, all sorts of things that I do for my patrons. So do consider becoming a patron by going to patreon.com, Planet of Mystery. That's planet_of_mystery. So until next week, this is Jim Craig with Coffee and Astronomy, hoping that you plan ahead, go out, enjoy some of these nice springtime skies that we have here in the Northern Hemisphere, or for you in the Southern Hemisphere. Hope you have a great autumn. So until next week, we'll see you.